Jason stood in front of the old house in a quiet suburb of Boston. The keys to the place were trembling slightly in his hand. It had belonged to his grandfather, who left it to him in his will, but no one had set foot inside for 3 years. "Come on, Jason. Today's your only chance. The buyer's coming tomorrow," he whispered to himself, unlocking the door. As he stepped inside, the musty smell of dust and decay hit him hard. The sound of the creaking door echoed eerily through the empty house. He reached for a light switch, but it didn't work, so he pulled out his phone and turned on the flashlight. The house was large, filled with old furniture covered in white sheets and newspapers. Everything was exactly the way his grandfather had left it. Even the wall clock was frozen at 3:15. That's the time Grandpa died. Jason wandered through the rooms, the living room, the bedroom, and the tiny kitchen. But what truly caught his attention was the bathroom at the end of the hallway. The bathroom door was slightly open, darkness looming behind it. Jason gently pushed it open, shining his flashlight inside. An old sink, a rusted faucet, a small rug on the floor, and at the far end, a mirror. It hung above the sink, unlike any mirror Jason had seen before. The frame was dark bronze, nearly black, etched with strange, ancient script that resembled old Arabic or Egyptian script. Thin cracks, like spider webs, ran across the glass, but it wasn't broken. This must be antique. Grandpa loved collecting things like this. He stepped closer, shining the light directly onto the mirror. That's when he noticed something odd. The reflection wasn't reacting to the light normally. It was faded, and on the edge of the frame there was a dark shadow. Strange, maybe it's just really old. He reached out and touched the surface gently. The glass felt ice cold, far colder than it should, and he felt a slight shiver run through his fingers. Then suddenly, in the reflection, something made him jump back. He saw himself standing as usual, but behind him, a tall, shadowy figure. He whipped around, heart pounding. No one was there. The bathroom was empty, and the only sound he could hear was the pounding of his own heartbeat. It's just my imagination. Old houses do that. He left the house quickly that day, but his mind couldn't shake the image in the mirror. All night he sat in his apartment, trying to convince himself it wasn't real, just a trick of the light, stress, or fatigue. But the next morning, something inside told him he needed to go back. This time he brought a powerful flashlight and a trash bag, planning to clear out some things before the buyer arrived. As soon as he entered, the house felt different, quieter. He walked straight to the bathroom. The mirror was still there, but the strange feeling it gave him was stronger. He stood in front of it again, flashlight in hand, and pointed it directly at the mirror. At first, the reflection was normal. Jason, standing alone, flashlight in hand. Then it changed. The version of Jason in the mirror began to move differently. It glanced nervously around. Its face twisted into a look of worry, a look Jason himself wasn't making. Then the reflection looked over its shoulder as if something was following it. Jason froze, eyes locked onto the mirror. His reflection was no longer synced with him. It had its own will. Then the version of Jason in the mirror turned and looked directly at him. It mouthed one word, silently. "Run." Jason bolted from the house, adrenaline pumping. He sat in his car for 10 minutes, trying to process what he had seen. This isn't normal. I need answers. He started researching. He visited the local historical archives. After hours of searching, he found an old newspaper from the 1960s. Renowned French archaeologist Jacques Moreau found dead in Beacon Hill residence, body discovered in advanced stages of decomposition. Several artifacts missing, except for an ancient mirror. Police continue investigations. The article mentioned that the house Jason inherited had once been rented by the archaeologist. After his death, his grandfather had bought the property at a low price, and apparently the mirror had stayed. The final paragraph chilled him. Jacques Moreau specialized in ancient Egyptian relics. He reportedly believed he had uncovered a mirror buried with a high priest from the 18th dynasty. He claimed the mirror was cursed and told friends that spirits lived inside it. Jason returned to the house that evening, carrying 2 candles and a box of matches. This time, no flashlight. He didn't want any artificial light. He walked slowly to the bathroom, lit the candles, and stood before the mirror. At first, the reflection was normal, but then, slowly, the scene inside the mirror began to shift. It no longer showed the bathroom. It showed a dark, ancient room covered in Egyptian hieroglyphs. In the center, a man dressed in white robes stood with his eyes closed, chanting in a language Jason didn't understand. Then the man opened his eyes, completely white, no pupils. He looked at Jason and smiled. "At last, a new vessel." The voice came not from the man, but from the mirror itself, echoing across time. Jason tried to back away, but his body wouldn't move, as if invisible hands were holding him in place. "I was called Keba, high priest of the afterlife. They buried me with my sacred mirror, so I could return one day. Every soul who gazes into it feeds me, until I am strong enough to take one entirely." Jason saw his reflection step into the scene with Keba, but he wasn't moving on his own. It was his soul being dragged into the mirror, while his body stood still. "The Frenchman was weak, but you're young, strong, perfect." Suddenly a memory flashed, something his grandfather once told him as a child. "Jason, no matter how strong evil gets, love is always stronger. A family's love protects its own, even after death." Jason felt something stir inside him, a warm force. He began to resist, and then he saw in the mirror the faint image of an old man standing behind him, his grandfather. "I'm here, son. I've got you." His grandfather touched Jason's shoulder, and Jason felt a wave of strength rush through his body. The mirror began to tremble violently, and the priest inside started to scream in agony. "No, I waited centuries. I won't be banished again." But his grandfather's voice cut through the chaos. "This is my house. That mirror doesn't belong here. Leave my grandson alone." The cracks in the mirror widened, spreading like wildfire. Jason finally broke free, stumbled backward, and ran from the bathroom. He heard a terrible shattering noise behind him, and then silence. When he returned, the mirror lay on the ground, completely shattered. Only normal shards remained. The strange engraved frame was gone. And then, in the stillness, Jason heard his grandfather's voice. "It's over, Jason. You're safe now. But tell the world some things aren't just stories. Some things are real." Jason didn't sell the house after that. Instead, he turned it into a small museum to honor his grandfather and his love of ancient history. He placed a sign at the entrance, "The Harold Monroe Heritage House, a legacy of the past." And every time Jason visited the bathroom, he felt a presence, not of fear, but of protection. He wasn't afraid of mirrors anymore. But sometimes, in the quiet of night, he still remembers that moment, that voice, that smile, and wonders if somewhere else, in another dusty antique shop, that cursed mirror, or one like it, is still waiting.